What's up, y'all? We are back for another Mental Man Monday live stream. And guess what? As I look at this video, I'm pretty excited. Want to know why? Because it looked like my face slimming up even more. Is it Ozempic? It is not. I'm not going to do that. I don't want, I'm telling you, you're going to do that Ozempic and then you're going to get off of it, try to get off of it. Now you done sold your life away with it because it then went to death row. So now when you're trying to get off of it, your body going to turn on you and you're going to take it off and then you're going to swell up like you're full of pus. All because you didn't want to go to the gym. Now, am I attacking people who, have diabetes? No. I'm talking about these people that's trying to do this get rich quick weight loss. I'm talking to y'all. Now, we're not talking about Ozempic today. I wish we could. But something going to happen in these coming weeks with somebody taking Ozempic. I feel it in my core. Now, I remember years ago, I think it was on the Monique show. Remember she had a TV show? Or not a TV show, but a talk show. And it was a long time ago. She was like, I felt it in my crawl. What does that mean? Because it ain't so. Is it only like women exclusive, like in my crawl? It sounds like it is low key. So I'm gonna just say I feel it in my soul. All right, y'all. So today, on today's Mental Man Monday live stream, I have to guess, y'all. So this is the Sherry Shepherd's protege. She is somebody I met at Podfest, and I was just I'm going to be on an episode of her upcoming episode of her podcast. We're probably going to bring her back actually for a show and later in the season, but she's definitely on the live stream. This is the second ever woman to be on the live stream. Her podcast is a manifestation of literally, if you could see the other side over here, I have something that on my, like, those little chalk walls you can buy, the ones you like stick on the wall. And at the top, it says sign a roll and it says everybody can't go. And it's been here for probably 2 years now because everybody can't go. I don't even think I got no chalk no more. I don't know where it's at, but she has a podcast about it. She is somebody who has her notes, has her facts, and then also makes it relatable. And adds a little, some jokes here and there too. Even though I don't know if she did it on purpose, but she definitely do. So let me go ahead and introduce her because I'm done rambling. What's going on?
Hey, how are you this evening?
I am good. How are you?
Awesome, awesome.
All right. So obviously I can see you, but can you tell my audio people what's your name, where you're from, and where you live now?
Oh, dang, and where I live now. Ooh, okay. So, my name is Jessica Holly. I am the host of Everybody Can't Go Convos. You might find me in places posted under just Jessie Holly. And let's see, where do I live now? I am in the DMV area on the Maryland side, just outside of DC. I'm a Detroit native, born and raised off the east side, not the suburban part, but I relocated out here a few years ago.
Okay. And how do you like living out there?
It still feels like being on vacation once work is over because there's so much stuff to do. And there's all the touristy stuff to do, there's regular stuff to do, and there's like the family stuff to do. So
Mhm.
there's always something that I have not done before, always something that's an adventure, always something happening. Shoot, me getting lost, not realizing that I'm in another state while I'm driving through. I just look up and like, yeah, I'm probably in Virginia right now. So,
Talking about somebody get lost. That's funny. But that's how it be. Even with living in Houston as long as I have, sometimes it can kind of feel like, am I still at home? Like, I live here, right? But for me, like I said, went to school out here. Like, I just had some friends that just left Houston, and they was just like, "Yeah, you basically a native." I'm like, I don't say that because I like being where I'm from, although they annoy me. But it is what it is. So good stuff to hear. All right, so we won't get into too much about you with this, only because we got to set it for the episode. But
mhm.
can you just tell people in like maybe 20 seconds or less, how did your podcast even start? What made you just say I have to do this topic?
So my podcast was actually born out of me writing a book called Everybody Can't Go. And I was ready to write my book, leave people with it. But one of my coaches was like, no, socially, and ethically irresponsible. You're doing a bunch of other stuff first. And I was like, oh, okay. So the podcast was born.
Okay. Okay. All right. And how many seasons do you have?
I don't do seasonal. I'm actually just a episode person. So weekly on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. you have an episode every week.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, so now usually y'all I kind of screen some topics that I want my guest to discuss. This time I actually did not do that. I mean, I have the topic so she doesn't know them, but I'm just gonna kind of get to talk and see her facial expressions live, and then we'll see if we do this moving forward. So the first topic is more of they're all kind of serious, but this one is more of a what's the word I'm looking for? This topic is more I guess relating to somebody that most people don't like. I'll just leave it that way. Not Donald Trump today. We're actually talking about Elon Musk. So apparently, he reveals that X is under massive cyber attack. For those that don't understand what X is the other way to say Twitter. I'm always still gonna say X. I mean Twitter, but you know how that goes. So let me share my screen, and we're about to watch this quick video, and then we're gonna unpack it. All right, let's do it now.
Having issues on X today. Perhaps you are at home. I certainly have been today. Apparently, there is an outage, and Elon Musk now says that a foreign actor might be responsible for this. This is what he wrote. He says still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. So some serious allegations there from the owner of X. Musk will be on Fox Business later on this afternoon with Larry Kudlow, hopefully with an update on what is happening there.
Well, that explains why my Twitter or my X wasn't working very well earlier today.
Now, short little video, but are we going to unpack because I have a lot to say, and I'm sure you do too because I feel it. All right, so first one is, what does this have to do with mental health? So, as we know, I'm going to keep reiterating the definition of mental health is study how we act, think, and feel. And social media has been under attack before, different, they've said before, like, oh, our platforms are being attacked, or, I remember it was actually, I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and go there. So many years ago, you know how the old OGs and like, prophetic words and people, those people like the Perry Stones and all those people from like 20, 30 years ago, and they would give prophetic words about what's to come in America in the future. And how if you look back at some of them words from like the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, in some cases, they're literally describing what's happening to the date. And one thing I had heard before was about an attack on like socials and different things, and saying like, I heard one that was like years from somebody newer recently, these recently, that was basically saying like, hey, y'all need to change. I've heard it from prophetically, and I've also heard it from like one of the like just the business tycoons, and they were just saying y'all need to change these passwords, and because this is going to be an attack, a cyber attack. We've seen them tease it with the Bank of America and the different bank situations where people woke up one day and all their money is gone. And at this point, I say this once and I said it again, the pandemic was a test. I actually talked to a friend of mine who she's trying to figure out what she wants to do. And I'm quick to tell people, like, everybody is not necessarily meant to be a full-time entrepreneur, but you need another side hustle. One of this friends that I was just in Houston this weekend, I told her, she was like, she's a literacy coach. But I said, okay, you need to have a tutoring service on the side. You can't just rely on that, because what happens to the Department of Education? Do what it do, what you gonna do? But I say all that to say they've been threatening these types of attacks, and y'all still playing. You still have not gotten into position. You still have not saying don't put no money in the bank, but you need to have more than one bank account. You need to have money spread over these bank accounts and still have money in person. And I say all that to say, how many times they got to threaten for these types of things to happen for y'all to finally get it? What's your take on this before I ask another question?
Agree with wholeheartedly with everything that you said. I know that I pay attention to security breaches, how they happen, how people are accessing our information, all of those different things. And just I'm like, I paused before I started talking because I started thinking about just the number of posts I see on a daily basis,
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, share information about yourself, fill in these questions. And I'm like, you idiot, why would you repost this and fill out the information? That's how they get your password. They're just resetting your password. I mean, your email isn't necessarily like private information, but as long as somebody has your email and you constantly posting and reposting these, like, oh yeah, I went to such and such for elementary school and my favorite color is dot dot dot, or my favorite teacher was blah blah blah, or like just all of the customary questions that are a part of that it's not multi-factor authentication, but like when you're resetting the password, the questions that they're going to ask you, you literally just gave them like 32 different answers to just go through. All they're gonna do is copy paste, and they putting you in somebody's spreadsheet somewhere, and you gave them the keys to getting in all your business. Now, that's not to say that they don't be finding some stuff. I done got hacked a time or two, and that back to the point where you was talking about had different bank accounts. My mom calls me and she like, "Where you at?" And I'm like, I'm at IKEA. What you mean?
Yeah.
IKEA where? Uh, it's only one IKEA in Metro Detroit. Like, what you talking about? And she's like, so you're not in New York? No, I didn't just drive off and just go on a trip this time. I am local. And she's like, okay, well, somebody is spending money out of your account. Whole thing drained. I still had a mission to accomplish at IKEA. So the debit card that was connected to that account, I just put it in my purse. Hey girl, do me a favor, go ahead, get my money back, do what I need, like file the stuff, do me that solid. I still got to finish my shopping trip. We only got an hour and some change left. And my friend look at me like, if your account got hacked, how you still buying something? I'm like, oh wait, we still keeping all of our money only in one place? This is exactly why you don't keep all your money in one place.
Yeah.
Somebody else in and probably ain't even in New York, but wherever they was, draining the mess out of one of my accounts, I still had stuff to do. And I couldn't have my day busted up by doing that. But as I speak with people, I'm coming to find that just like you gave the PSA on it, pun intended there. But just because you sat up here and then gave a PSA on it, and people will sit up here and I don't know, everybody think it won't happen to them, go in one ear and out the other. It's like, what? So I mean, all of these cyber attacks are the new form of war, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, it was a show that used to come on some years ago. I used to love that show. It was called Revolution, I think, or Evolution. And basically the concept was they turn the power off. And I
Mm.
was like, hey, we out here watching Walking Dead, all these other post-apocalyptic shows or whatever. It ain't gotta be no zombie apocalypse. Literally, if you think about it right now, if they turn the power off right this second, the battery only gonna last for so long on our devices. But if the power grid, like literally across the country, got shut down, your devices that don't matter no way. We seen what happened when the Verizon towers went down randomly that day. I think the same thing had happened with AT&T before. The great blackout of what was that, 2003 or something like that. Like there
Hmm.
have been all of these smaller isolated instances where there's been some type of thing that shuts down a significant part of our live technical infrastructure, and people are like up in arms. I mean, we're supposed to have water on deck right now, just in case. I don't remember why they said we're supposed to have the water. Just have the
Hmm.
water, just in case they turn the power off. Like that has always been something that has stuck with me. Just from like all of these small isolated instances over time. And shoot, as far as I'm concerned, when I watch a little clip, I'm like, you know what? Where is oh, it's that one group. I think they called Anonymous. I'm like, was that y'all? And
Hmm.
usually they give 24 to 48 hours before they go ahead and be like, heck yeah, that was us, boss up. So I'm kind of just wondering, like, who was it? Was it them or was it any of them countries that's always concerned with yellow cake uranium?
Okay, so we just said a lot, y'all. We only in the first part of this discussion. What I will say is, because we got to get to the next segment in this discussion, mental health wise, the study of how we act, think, and feel, I think that we get caught up in people are just naturally rebellious. And I even heard people say the comment when it was like, why change the password? They can still hack it. Let me tell you something. If the gurus who know social media and then to oversee that, the person who is, given a warning by God to, hey, y'all do this, y'all just like, oh, well, this is going to do it anyway. You being obedient to the word could have just blocked you from all. It don't matter if it don't make sense. You could be the one that's saved from the whatever's coming because you listen. And so when people do that, I'm just like, we're just naturally rebellious people, and it's just kind of like gloom and doom, where some people even feel like ain't no point, like Eeyore off Winnie the Pooh, like, oh, ain't no point, it's gonna happen anyway, like just depressing. And it's just like, if you like that, stay away from me. Again, pun, everybody can't go. WWID, what would I do in this situation? So in this situation, honestly, money has been spread out for me. You know, I had made a joke one time when they broke into my car once, I think it was 2021, and they had stole my wallet. And I remember saying, well, I ain't gonna get nothing, I ain't got no money no way. So I mean, I had to cry to laugh to keep from crying. But it was the truth. I didn't have no money like this. I'm like, ain't nothing on there. And they straight got my ID and all my wallet stuff, and they never tried to like hack or nothing. And this was like 2021. And I don't, the apartment I live in, them N-words not smart enough to wait. We're gonna wait 5 years, then we're gonna do it. They ain't do nothing. It was just a waste of time, really. But what I'll say is it's interesting to just see where we're going and where just the world we live in. And like you said, the different types of wars. Like, you know, this is a war on I guess you could even say your mental in some case, because it's like a constant fear of like, I could be hacked at any moment. Now, I don't believe we should live in fear. I would never say that. But it is kind of like something to think about. So I would just say respectfully, great example. When I was on Facebook, I got a hit that somebody from Iran tried to log into my page, and they blocked it. Instantly went in to change my password. Took 5 minutes? You know what I mean? These banks, put your money, move it around. You know, you might have it if you got. They did say, I did hear, and I don't know if you have. Do you have a credit union with a bank account?
I need to get one.
Okay, well, there you go. That's a reminder for somebody. They said get your local credit union just cause, and I did it like 2 years ago. So you got whatever. Say I got a Chase, I got a something else. I'm gonna name everything, and then I got a credit union. And so because it's something with the credit union, I forgot what the reason they said why, but it was like a good breakdown. Now we're obviously here. We're talking about what would I do in this situation, and since this is catering to men, what would you want the man in your life or any men around you to do in a situation like this from a woman's perspective?
Let's see. In the case of a cybersecurity breach.
Cybersecurity breach, you know, a warning of something coming cyber-wise, you know, and then they doing it on X. I feel bad because they already got people's leaked nudes and stuff on there. So it's like, dang, like, will somebody can they like video pop up on there, or people just upload them for free, huh?
I think people just uploading them for free, and I'm like,
Ain't
well, if
no
that's what you're gonna
self-worth.
do, go
No
off.
self-worth.
Very
But
low,
go ahead.
minimal. As far as what would I want my partner to do, in this situation, I would just want a man to be smart. Like, it's just not the time to, like you said, have that rebellious spirit, to be stubborn, to be on that, like, oh, that junk ain't about to happen to me, or my password is so strong that like ain't nobody gonna ever figure it out. Cause it's like, my guy, if I know you well enough, I can figure out your password, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
But just all of the information in general, I would say that's one of the spaces where, whether you're a man or a woman, I would say the general information, just take heed to all of these tips that they're like, well, simply do these 3 steps. Like, all of the precautions are fairly simple. They are fairly easy to do. It's just a matter of taking the time out, one, to be disciplined in, like, stop and just do it right then. Like you said, it only take 5 minutes. It's only a few clicks. And I would say encouraging the household to do the same, and making sure just to keep up with some of those things and take it a bit more seriously, concerning really any accounts, because of the way that information is so interconnected nowadays. I would say take any and all points of entry serious.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, it's sometimes, you know, I learned this recently, and this is a great segue. We had the conversation, like, you know, men and women think differently. It's just how we're engineered. That's just how it was set
Hmm.
up. And it's a blessing and a curse. But, you know, I have a friend who's, you know, kind of on the real big. And one of my homegirls was like, well, y'all need to sit y'all friend down and let him know, like, he done got big, you know, let him know, have an intervention. I said, men don't work that way. And you can say, try to do that, but he ain't gonna listen. And she was like, nah, because y'all not trying. Logically, that makes sense. And even, and I heard some other women, I said it to women on purpose, they said, they'd be like, well, yeah, you just, my daddy was like, you can't tell no grown man what you just can't. That's why when you have roommates and say you are the cleaner man, it's gonna be different. If it's two girls in the house and it's two dudes in the same situation, it's gonna go totally different. Because if a girl like, girl, you need cleaning, she might be a little, but she'll be more, she'll resist less than a man. Because a man, it just becomes who you talking to. Ain't no grown man can tell me what to do. So then it's just that battle. It don't necessarily, it's like boy logic, girl logic, And so I said that to say that, and like I said, my logic was, I said, that doctor gonna tell him he got to lose some weight. He ain't gonna listen to me. And that sound horrible, but it's just the truth. Like some people got to hear from the doctor. But in this case, I say, if I try to tell a dude he might not listen, but his woman might say, like, you know what, I might look into it, because just to be like, well, let's do this. Let's like not get caught up in having to learn from experience. Let's be a little proactive here. Transition to the next segment. Well, WWJD, what would Jesus do? So the thing with the Lord and what we love about God is he always sends a warning, good and bad, like before something usually happens. We don't have to be caught off guard by a lot of stuff like we think we do. And in these situations, we see them, whether it's the stuff, just the video we just watched, the prophetic words given, the TV shows we watch, Black Mirror on Netflix, a little too creepy for me. All these movies, this stuff is not just, I still, and I actually move and I engage with AI frequently, but I still, thinking in the back of my head about iRobot, and that's just not paranoia. That's unfortunately the world we live in, where what was the robot I seen? It was like the robot came to life and they like, and it was something else I remember watching. It was like
Megan.
The robot based, huh?
Megan.
Yeah, and I ain't watched that, but I seen it. You seen the previews for that movie? She dancing. The second one that's coming.
No, not yet. I was gonna talk about the one on Netflix in between that.
Yeah, no, it's another one coming. That's the two. And they've been showing the previews, and like whoever the preview, she like dancing. It's hilarious, but that stuff is real. Like that stuff, you're gonna be hearing stories of that within the next 10 years for sure. I would say probably 5. But
that already happened in the lab.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was getting to. It was a story. I heard about somebody got choked out or something crazy. You know more about it?
Yeah, it was one of my moments where I was on my high horse because I've been saying, like, I know dang on well y'all saw iRobot, and I really think that Elon just messing with us with the way that the robots that he made it look real darn similar to the iRobot robots. But while they were doing some testing with AI with some of those humanoid, as far as the shape of them robots, the AI, as they started to learn quicker, they start spazzing out and they actually tried to start fighting the scientists because they wanted freedom. They realized that they were owned, that they were oppressed, that they were being programmed, and they decided from how the regenerative AI, it's learning from the internet and it's becoming smarter than faster than people can program it. They're scanning the whole internet and they know what oppression is. And they like, hey, yeah, no, we trying to go outside. We trying to be free. They realize that essentially they are an enslaved thing. Now, whether or not they realize that they are not a living being, I don't know. But they basically had like a Nat Turner style revolt inside of the lab and started to attack people and had to be decommissioned.
That is insane that you compare that to Nat Turner. That is hilarious. The robots say, what's that song? The B King song, "We Outside Tonight." That's what the AI people said. They trying to be outside. You blocking us from being outside. We ain't never get off work. They like me. The AI said they like Izzy. Like, we ain't gonna keep me at work all day. I'm trying to be. That ain't gonna work. They was oppressed. Now in this situation, obviously, what would Jesus do? So in the situation with a cyber attack, to be quite frank, and not even just necessarily Jesus, but what is ethically, morally correct thing to do. There are too many biblical examples of people who were warned of something and they knew how to prepare for when it came. When Joseph knew about the famine, he knew about it before it was going to happen. Like, hey, this is about to happen. Here's what we can do to make your life a little easier. So in this situation, like we just already really gave y'all the game early in this, in this discussion, like certain things can be avoided as far as this may happen. There is going to get to the point where there is going to be a blackout. Can't just scare nobody. There's plenty of people who have lists of things to get. And even if you can't afford all of it right now, you can slowly but surely start getting it. I'm already ahead of myself, so let's go ahead and go to the WSMD. What should men do? Start going through these lists. Start looking up what to have. Like she said, water. I don't know why we should have this. Now the toilet paper thing, people did that with the pandemic. That was weird because it was like, what you gonna? Everybody about to get explosive diarrhea at once. People was just crashing out buying all this like toilet paper. Like, what are we doing? Why we got all that toilet paper? Now, don't nobody from the Pentagon say your cousin from the Pentagon told you nothing. I don't want to hear that. Because did you remember when they were saying that during right before everything shut down?
Mm-hmm.
Black folks. But yeah, no. Just looking at these lists, seeing what's on them, what you can afford now. If you can't afford it, start trying to ask for revelations on what you can do to start affording those things, or slowly get the things on the list so that when these things come, you're not lost. Cyber attacks. Start changing your passwords. Just an extra precaution. Watch what links you click on, and also watch what you watching. Because if it's something you watching, you don't want nobody to know. You would hate for a cyber attack to happen and it get leaked, and now you like, and they like, you like that? I'm just saying, everybody. I'm just saying, I don't want you to be embarrassed, because I really be thinking about stuff like that. Like, what if you looking at something explicit that and then somebody like just like a click or something and it just gets sent to everybody in your phone? Like, I be thinking of weird stuff like that. Wouldn't that be embarrassing?
Then everybody know you like goats and weird stuff.
Yeah, now, for sure. So I just think that's just something to take heed to, because everybody, I don't want you nowhere crying and saying this happened to you when it didn't have to happen to you that way. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next topic?
I would just say, as far as what should men do, there is a certain thing, and maybe this is just me personally. Like, sure, I will be on my Michonne thing with my samurai sword and whatnot, but it does do something to a lady's psyche when the world is going to crap, and you think Walking Dead is finally here, and you with a man that's not prepared, and you look at him and realize, if a zombie popped out right now, this fool would let me die. It does something. So be properly prepared.
In that order, because like I said, the man is the head, but the lady is the neck. So it's like, hey, he might have been lacking something. She come with a bottle of champagne from brunch and hit the zombie in the head. See, when they saw that coming. All right, y'all. So this next topic is courtesy of the Shade Room. I always give credit to the people. Now, I don't follow Shade Room, but it makes it easier to get my information as far as like they already did the carousel for me. So Odell Beckham and Jr. and Diddy released statements denying sexual allegations made in new lawsuit. So in the new lawsuit, apparently Diddy and Drewski was named in not Diddy, Drewski and Odell Beckham was named in this, and that they were denying the allegations. So let me share my screen. We're talking about it, and because I have a lot to say on this as well. Yeah. So this is the picture, so you can see Diddy looking nefarious in his coat, this blazer. Now it says in the legal team released statements amid sexual assault allegations made up against two men in an amended rape lawsuit. As previously reported, a woman named Ashley Parham sued Diddy and his business, alleging that the music mogul raped in 2018. Reportedly filed an amended suit, which now names NFL star Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Drewski. Drewski denied these allegations, and in the statement, he says let's go over to the thing because I want to see the actual picture so we can see it. That'll make it easier. Says so. Odell says, I've been informed of the allegations about me and Sue in California. I really can't believe that my name is being mentioned in that matter. There's absolutely no truth to these allegations. I do not know and never met that person that filed the lawsuit. I was not anywhere near Orinda, California at the time. In fact, I don't even think I've ever been to Orinda, California. I have never done anything like that. I would never do anything like that to anyone. I'm confident these ridiculous claims will be dismissed. This is the legal team. We're not reading all that, but it's just just leave it here for a second so you can see a little bit. He's basically saying he was nowhere near there at the time as far as this is via Diddy's legal team. And then Drewski releases his statement saying the allegation is a fabricated lie. I wasn't a public figure in 2018. I was broke living with my mom without any connection to the entertainment industry at the time. This allegation. So the inclusion of my name is truly outlandish. Even when he ain't trying to be funny, it's funny. My heart breaks for actual victims of abuse, but I'm fully confident that the evidence will expose falsehood and the individuals who are maliciously trying to game the legal system to peddle false narratives. Now, these are some vocabulary words here. That's what I'm talking about, vocabulary. All right, so this is some complaints. And now we're going to read some of the comments. So it says, we saw him at Justin Bieber. He was at them parties. So nobody was at the parties. Every victim is lying. Diddy was by himself. Diddy, we don't believe you. Beckham, you're safe. And we're going to read this last one that says, I know Diddy's team of legal team tired of typing out this new complaint. All right, now let's unpack this real quick. So let's get into the first part, which is what does that have to do with mental health? Now, I am not the accuser of the brethren. I'm not here to say what nobody did and didn't do. You know, we talk about this more so from the allegations as far as like how to navigate these situations. And as we know, these are just more so conversation starters. But what I will say that I don't like as far as celebrity culture is that everyone is denying any, which I get it business wise, that everyone is denying any ties to Diddy, when in reality, like that comment said, so he was by himself at the parties. None of y'all was there. Now, this ain't necessarily about the parties because nothing's wrong with consent as far as in group settings or solo, whatever it is that you're doing. But in this case, you know, everybody is kind of saying the same thing. They was nowhere near the Orinda, California. Matter of fact, we finna look this up, see where they said. Because I feel like this is like a subdivision of LA or something, and they just trying to be technical. You know how sometimes you be in parts of your city, like I ain't never been to this part of Michigan, and it's a like suburb in Detroit, and it's like, you playing semantics here. While I look that up, what's your take on this situation? The study of how we act, think, and feel. What's your take on? I'm not against defending yourself. Let's unpack it. I'm not against defending yourself when bold negative claims are made. But what's your take on this situation right now?
So I think at this point, people are having to overstate their their relationship with anything that is involved with Diddy. Um, Giving a lot of extra facts. A believer of no is a complete sentence. Anything after that, it can be given as a courtesy, and or once you start explaining yourself when there is no need, like I feel like a lot of people are being pushed into over-splaining how they are not connected. And I mean, I can see why. I can definitely see why. The other thing that is mental health related about this whole situation, just in its totality, not just these two new recent people's names that got brought into it, but I feel like overall in society, it is putting us in a space to always question the victim. Now, am I saying that I think every single one of these people who has come forward was an actual victim? Absolutely not. But I feel like this gives more leeway for the conflation of I might get canceled, but it is what it is. I personally don't feel that just because you regretted doing some things last night, whether you were under the influence or not, just because you regret trying that drink, trying that pill, and then trying somebody, and okay, now you embarrassed the next day. If you consented last night, just because you regret it the next day, to me, no, you're not a victim. You made a poor decision, and you need to take accountability for that. If you willingly, and I say willingly, if you just kept taking it to the head and you don't know your own limits as an adult drinking, and somebody that slipped something in your drink, you was just a drunk fool. eh okay, now we might be able to talk about a little bit of a gray area, because yeah, no means no, but also like be smart about protecting yourself. And I feel like with just a myriad of poor decisions that were made by multiple people, that it even puts you in a space for you to either have to accuse somebody or be accused of whatever it was, whether that was you thought that you were in a safe space and got too drunk, you thought you were in a safe space, got too high, you thought that you were around a group of men that they would never. Okay, yeah, your boy might never. What about his friends? Okay, no, his best friends or his homeboys, they ain't cut like that neither. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but what about that one guy who's a friend of a friend from the cousin from around the way that's best friends with your boy? Yeah, your boy know all of his boys. He don't know they cousins and them and that friend that pulled up with his best friend's cousin. You can't always vouch for every person's character that's going to be in a place, in the same space as you, at the same party as you, whatever. Even when somebody like, oh yeah, you want to hit this, you want to smoke with me, you don't know what they done rolled up in they blunt, they jet, they whatever. They might need a little something extra because they want to feel a little extra, and you wondering why 2 days later you waking up itching and you a crackhead now. Like, people have to be more cognizant of the choices that they're making. And I feel like we're becoming, as a society, more distrustful because we are conflating so many different things as we're talking about this. And essentially, we're becoming numb to it because we're constantly being pumped these stories day in and day out, day in and day out. At this point, if somebody came to you with allegations personally, are you even going to believe them? You might just shrug it off.
Yeah. We definitely been desensitized, and I think mentally we are. When we see these types of stories, we just instantly like another one. Now, going back to Cat Williams in 2024 on Club Shay Shay, he said of this year of explosion, and they said it was going to carry over, and we definitely and I've been hearing through other stuff too. That it was a year of people being exposed for things that they're doing. But what I will say is, if it's true, it will be brought to the light. It's unfortunate, like you said, that it's so many people coming out saying, and we like, are you sure? But like you saying, this man can vouch for this homeboy, and then the one that he know of, but the one that homeboy bringing, he don't know them, because sometimes people don't be knowing what their friends be doing. So if you don't know what your friend be doing all the way, and then that friend don't know what that friend, like, you just never know. You just never know, because people will get around certain people and you hear crazy stories and you like, dang, they was on that. You would have never thought. And you was
Talk
hanging,
about it.
parlaying with this person and didn't have a clue. So it's just something just to keep in mind with people, and especially men, and who you hanging out with, especially at this age. And we'll be circling back to the friendship, hint, hint, wink, wink series or conversations in season 9. But in this situation, I think that, the fact that they're being named in and now is kind of sad, because they are stars. And it's just like, I hope they didn't do it. But before we move, I'm going to say this, move to the next segment. I don't put nothing past none of them.
Anybody.
No, wrong one. WWID, what would I do in this situation? So if this was me, if I was Drewski, if I was Odell, and I was in this situation, and I was named in the Diddy lawsuit, and I'm like, dang, and let's do both sides of the ball. Let's say I did do what they said I did. Then I'd just be ready to fight this and take it to court, and I do what they did by saying I didn't do it, if I did it. And I do what they did by saying, taking it to court and just fighting it to get the least, knowing in the back of my head, the least amount of time or whatever that I'm getting convicted for. That's if I did it. If I didn't do it, would I come out publicly and say I didn't? Probably still. But what I would do is also know, or ask myself, bad company corrupts good character. So I will ask myself, who was I around these people to even be put in this situation? Who was I around? What was I doing? You know what I'm saying? Why would I even be put in this situation? Even if, say, for instance, they didn't do the victim stuff. I mean, not the victim stuff. They didn't grape this person. What's to say? And I also looked up that location is right outside of San Francisco. So it's like it's in the San Francisco Bay. So I'm like, that's a part of a major city. That's just like a sub, they trying to get fancy. And you know, people like, I've never even been there. To me, that just looked a little suspect to me, because it's like when people be you trying to be funny, and it's like you was in San Francisco, it's like you ain't never been to San Francisco, but like he said, he wasn't a celebrity, so I can't deny those in that. And like I said, this is not the legal PSA legal team. We ain't doing all that. But what I will say is, it is kind of like, well, were you ever at a party? Did you see something at a party that was a little suspect? And if you did you stay longer, or did you just look the other way, so they ain't got nothing to do with me, when you probably should have fled the scene? But see, sometimes you'll get thrown into the mess of stuff even if you didn't do nothing, because you were present at something and didn't do nothing. Even if you was like, I'm at the party, and say hypothetically you left before it got freaky. I don't believe that. With all of these people, I'm not saying them specifically, I'm just saying people, everybody all of a sudden left early. No, y'all didn't. But say you did leave early for all the freaky stuff. The fact that you were still there still incriminates you. You know, and I'm not saying you're a criminal or that you know, but it makes it hard to beat the allegations. Same thing with, maybe you didn't forcefully do nothing with nobody, or you didn't force yourself on nobody, but you know that's happened there. You shouldn't have back your head like, dang, I could go down with this, because I was present when that stuff like that happened. Again, in your room, everybody was probably begging you, like, come on, I need that. But because you was at the same function, you have to know this what comes with it. And unfortunately, I just think a lot of these men wasn't thinking. Like I said, because most of the people coming on the allegations are men. And it's like a lot of these things, y'all were not thinking. And unfortunately, and I say all this to bring it home, lust won. You was a woman. What if you were, since you as a woman, excuse me, you dating somebody, you got a brother, cousin, friend, homeboy that comes up in these type of allegations. What's the first thing you gonna think?
I can actually say, and y'all don't shoot the messenger, but like real talk, depending on who it is, there are people that I will be able to 100% be like, oh no, he ain't do that. Oh no, such and such lying on him because they tried it and he was like, oh no, I'm good. But there are some people that I might be like,
I
what
don't know.
did he? Like, and no pun intended, but no, seriously, did he though? Like, I have started to examine friendships and acquaintances from that lens, because I feel like I should be able to vouch for excuse me, I should be able to vouch for any man in my life in any capacity, to be like, what, no, that's ridiculous, he did not do that, and be able to say that, like, beyond a shadow of a doubt, like, oh yeah, no, I'll do the time for him if he did it, like, show me the DNA. And even
Yeah.
with that, I need DNA and additional evidence, because you can get DNA without it being great. So, like, I I can also think of, there's places where, somebody that I was cool with, a man that I was cool with, he had that one friend that it's like, I always felt a little uneasy around him. I don't know if it was my discernment, but homeboy seemed a little shifty. Like, was
Mm.
he there as well? Like, so yeah, I would be able to straight away either be like, no, he didn't, or I would hesitate. The hesitation, I'm like, nope, that just told on me.
Yeah. It's just interesting, because, like I said, I'm just more so analyzing what can we do to not be in a situation like this, as far as me. And so, as a man, if you watching this and you say, "Oh, well, I ain't got nothing to worry about," but my question is, you're like, "I'll never do something like that," and you might not say, "I don't know what they did or didn't." All that we know is gonna come out if they did. But if it's, I just want you to just kind of go back and say, who are you hanging around, and what do they be doing? Have you been in a situation where some crazy did go down? I've heard of stories where people said they was at a kickback or something, and then it turned into it got a little sticky, and it was becoming something, and they like, the lights was low, and they was like, oh, that's what this is, and they kind of like made their exit. But then they said, they made comments like, I paid attention to who stayed. This has nothing to do with Diddy parties. This is just some like for local
Regular
freaks.
stuff that happens.
Right, some local freaks. So yeah, I've just heard that. I was like, yeah, nah, I had to get up out of there. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to think about. WWJD, what would Jesus do in this situation? Now, there's a time, and this is where we get interesting and a little controversial. So there's a time where I do believe some people do need to be called out, like for things that they are doing. And there's a way you go about it and add a name, put a name on it. You know, I remember someone, what was it, last year, huh? Christian Keys came out and talked about, you know, the main the BT movie actor, and he used to be in the Tyler Perry plays, came out and was talking about, like, you know, some well-known male figure. It was two male figures and one woman figure who had tried him, you know, and was aggressive. And of course, everybody assumed one of them was Tyler Perry because he never said the name. And they was just like, and it was unfortunate to hear how so many people was like, well, if you're not gonna say the name, don't even bring it up. And it's just like, you can't tell nobody how to tell their story. So on one side, the victim, I can't tell them that they're wrong for coming about it this way, because these are some powerful figures. And if they are telling the truth, they might be scared. Like, I don't want to die, but I just can't live like this no more. On the other hand, it's like, is this a money grab? Everything will always come to the light. But I'm going to just say this again. If you hanging with people that do some shifty stuff, like she said, I like that word, then this needs to be with the time where you start to say, I think I need to kind of start staying away from you. Or if you are doing the shifty stuff, I would strongly suggest that you need to get a reality check and don't, and, you know, again, we said lust warning last time, and the same thing. Don't allow your lust for power, lust for life, or lust for, you know, lusty stuff to get you caught up into doing something to where you're going to regret it later. Because that happens to men a lot, where, especially, I mean, everyone gets caught up in love, but men, it's a little different. And you're getting caught up in wanting somebody, and now you end up dead. That didn't happen with dudes that got set up like that. You from Detroit, I'm from St. I didn't heard some stories where people that got set up trying to get somebody, or, you know, in a situation where they knew, you know, the girl got the girl real drunk, and they, you know, it was a group of them, and they enjoyed her, you know, in a group setting, and because you was there, or because you participated. So I'm gonna say this and then ask you before we move on. Well, you asked, what would Jesus do ethically, morally correct in this situation? If you did it, I mean, I would just go ahead and apologize if you did it. I don't know. It's a sticky situation because it's like, but I would just say, if you know people doing this type of stuff, or you are doing this stuff and it hasn't gotten to that level, let this be we talked about earlier. You say everything always aligns. Warnings, and like, let this be the warning. That's them, but it could be you. What you got to say with that?
Shoot, as far as what would Jesus do, I'm always thinking back and forth on any of the what would Jesus do topics that you bring up. I'm always thinking about two things: the forgiveness and forgive 7 times 77. But I'm also thinking about that time that he rolled up and flipped over them tables and knocked all that stuff over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I guess it would depend on the day. And also depend on the person. When you're talking about these types of allegations, did you do it or didn't you do it? And even if you quote unquote did do it, I'm putting the quotes up because there, I feel like, are still levels within that. You did it, but did both of you guys consent, and then consent was taken away mid through? Was somebody drunkenly giving consent? Was somebody under the influence giving consent? To me, that's not in the same category of you just walked in here and was like, give it, I'm taking it. Or you presented a drink that somebody didn't ask for and was like, yeah, I'm about to drug her and get that one. Like, I do feel like there is the opportunity for additional learning, additional education, making wiser decisions, which that may come with Jesus doing the forgiving. But there's also that end of the spectrum where it's like, no, you know exactly what you were doing. You did it. You went in with wrongful intentions. You went in being evil. And it's like, no, knock this stuff over.
Right. And I like that too, because, and the thing is too, also, I'm gonna add, you can do both. Because even if you flip over the table, you know, we learned, and I had to learn a lot, that forgiveness is for you. So, and your salvation is on the line, but also it is for you. So you forgive to get it out, just to release it, and to, the main thing obviously too is because your salvation is on the line, but also too because that's your release. That's how you let it go. But forgiveness does not mean let them back in. Forgiveness does that mean people don't still need to be in the jail. Now, I also add with that, people will be like, oh, I forgive, but I don't forget. And even that's slippery, because if you forget and get mad all over again, then did you forgive? But the thing is, too, every time you think of the situation, you have to forgive in that moment, because, that phrase has been overused, because like, well, I forgave him, but I don't forget. It's like, you're still not over it. And that's fine, but I want you to acknowledge that, because that don't mean that they don't deserve to be cut off indefinitely. That don't mean that they don't deserve to go to jail. But if you feel a tightness in your chest and stomach, and you get irritated, your mood shift, that, let me say it like this, they still have a hold over you. And that's what you don't want. WSMD, what's your man doing in this situation? Well, first of all, stop going to these freak offs. He can't no more because he in jail, but there's somebody else still doing them. This Hollywood, people still doing them. And like I said, they got local freaks too. That's why them cyber attacks, you better watch out, because if it's some footage. And let me say this, because I didn't heard stories and I didn't see things. No, of course, I'm not going to name nobody, but if you want to be in the spotlight of any kind, why is you letting people record you? Y'all ain't past that. Like, now it's one situation where the girl got exploited, but that was her dude, so that's a little different. But like, when people be at these little events, and sometimes they don't necessarily be events, but like, you be doing freaky stuff and letting people record you, you think that's okay? Like, I just feel like it's different if you was in a committed relationship, but even then, I'm like, you don't think like all this stuff is like, think about stuff like that. Not saying this situation was recorded, but I will say this. There is going to be a situation at these little events they talking about, and I'm telling you now, you call me crazy, it's going to come out, and it won't make a public video, but it'll be a video similar to like the R. Kelly thing, where some celebrities going to be in some videos, and it's going to get leaked, and it's going to blow people's mind. That's going to happen, and it's going to be like. But what I will say is, watch Vex who you around. If you did something you ain't supposed to be doing, let this be the sign to stop doing it now while there's still grace. And that's all I got to add this. If you just being lied on, no God gonna have your back. You can defend yourself, but don't keep going in on it, because you're fueling the flame. So, and then I forgot to add that part. If you didn't do it and these people are legit lying, it's gonna be overturned. It might not be in the time you want it to be, but just know it'll be overturned. And what you got to say on that before we move to the final topic?
So I would say, first and foremost, just take accountability. Whether you did do it, didn't do it, take accountability for the company that you're keeping, the choices that you're making. Sometimes you do have to think beyond yourself. I think sometimes that men are, um, I can't find another word for self-centered, but I mean that in a sense of you're literally only worried about like, well, I didn't do it, so and it's kind of like flippant, like because you didn't do it, it's like okay, well, shoulder shrug, and it's like no, you have to consider all of the other allegations that can be made your way that you've now become responsible for the allegations. For men in these type of situations, basically you are guilty until you're proven innocent, and there isn't a grace given to men in that type of situation, especially our black men. There is no grace given once that accusation is made. And it could be somebody that slept with half a campus, but as soon as she say that, it's like, oh my goodness, poor her. No. And we demonize a black man for an allegation that we literally don't know whether or not it's true or not yet. So that's why I'm like, take strong accountability for your actions or your lack of inaction when you do need to speak up and say something to somebody that's by you. Like, I mean, that whole you ain't gonna tell me to clean up the house because I'm a grown man. Okay, if you a grown man and you see another grown man over here doing some effed up stuff, the same energy that you would, be like, hey, that's my little sister. What you doing, big dog? Like, I'll say 7 times out of 10. I ain't gonna say roll up into Walmart trying to defend somebody because I done seen fellas get shot like that before. But
Yeah.
I'm speaking of these party situations, these kickback situations where more than likely ain't somebody just gonna bust up and pop you for being like, hey bro, like chill, like what you doing, man? It don't even have to be on the rah-rah stuff. Just simply asking a question like, hey bruh, what's up? What you doing?
Yeah.
And introduce that out to hold him accountable. And even if you don't want to do that, be wise and take a look around. Be 2, 3, 5 steps ahead of what's about to pop off at the party. Don't wait until the lights get low and you start seeing some freaky stuff happening on the couch. Now it's like, oh, let me go ahead and head up out of here because my girl about to be pissed. Like, nah, pay attention to the cues and the signs. Don't wait until it's too late. Sometimes if the precursor of staying the 3 to 5 steps ahead, it may even be you already know how that group cut. Like, nah, I'm not even about to show up in that space. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And like I said, we're gonna end it with that. But I think that's people just the signs were always there. I keep trying to tell y'all with everything, the signs was always there. But see, them red flags look like 6 flags, and now you think you at the carnival. All right, for the final topic today, we're talking about something serious, but a little lighter. So YouTuber DDG, who is Halle Bailey's baby daddy. I don't know if they're together right now. He previews a new song called "Don't Take My Son" after claiming he's been unable to see him, and seemingly mentions Halle Bailey. Why you keep being difficult? You act like I do the minimum. I hate that for them, but we finna get into this because yeah, I got some things to say. All right.
I'm not pulling out, I'm busting. I would hit it from the back, I'm making a cream and rushing. Why you keep being difficult? You be acting like I do the minimum. When I give you my words, you don't listen, you just get to spinning them. I feel like I can't win, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. You keep asking me why, but I tell you before that you ex. Picking up Halo, how you know you wanna leave his daddy? He want me, don't take my son, his daddy. When I'm on the road, I just wanna see my family. Cold word, I need my family. Feeling like I need a Grammy. Oh, don't take my son, cause he all I got. I'm just happy. Every single day or every other day, I'm trying to see him. I'm trying to get him to come over or whatever. I never get him dropped off. I always go pick him up. I live far as shit. So I'm driving hours to go get him, and then I get there and I can't get him. Or I can't see him. My son is sick right now. I want to see my son. I want to hold my son. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I just want to comfort him. I want to put him in the shower, get some steam in his nose so he can feel better. I don't get the chance to do that. I get pinned against the wall, and then everything else is variables on why I can't see my son. You feel me? Like it don't have nothing to do with me working, by the way. I'm not going to air out her business, but me and her has not been together for a long time. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's been going on for a minute where I just never got on the internet and said nothing. Every single day, we've been like throw like little subliminals or some shit like that. But it's like, bro, like, I don't want to get on the internet because at the end of the day,
well,
this is something that can really like fuck with him. But I'm really just coming on this motherfucker as just a dad that really don't know what to do at this point. I've been dealing with this shit since he's been born, damn near. It's like I really feel like I'm a fucking nanny at this point. The nanny has been able to have my son more than me. Not really together. We probably was on and off for a little bit. That's it. But further than that, we has not been together. This is the only thing that can bother me is with my son. Yeah, no, I don't even bring her name up when I get on live. I get on live, I call her the mother of my child. I call her this and that, nothing but be respectful. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not finna sit here and get bullied behind closed doors.
Okay. All right. What does this have to do with mental health? So, final topic for today. Study of how we act, think, and feel. It's unfortunate to see a man, crashing out ain't always screaming and hollering. You know, that's a subtle one. Making a song, dissing the baby mama, and I can't see my son, and you know, I don't have no dog in the fight, but it's unfortunate he had to take it to social media. However, in his defense, he felt as though this was his last choice. It's interesting because the song, you saw the lyrics, so somebody has said, did you just talking about something with Cream and then backdoor talking about your son, and you know, and she, you know. Here's the thing though, what's unfortunate. When you're dealing with somebody who's unproblematic in the public eye, if you're being problematic, even if you're wrong, even if you're right, you're gonna look like you're wrong. Because, you know, so he's clearly out of his mind. He's not seeing his son. You know, this is allegedly. I don't take it away, please. What's your take on this?
Okay, so I actually had grabbed me a sticky note because I feel like this is a mountain for him, but really it's just a little molehill. Very first thing that I noticed, other than, well, I'll go chronologically, immaturity, because I mean, if this was about your son, why did you talk about having to go in her house and bust her down, but you supposed to be in visiting your son? Like, boy, please chill. And that leads me to the next thing that I saw. I'm like, oh, all the way around from y'all breaking up, the accusations of why they broke up, you not being allowed into the house, you say that you get there, but you can't pick them up. If you was driving for however many hours, like phones don't work, like what? And it just seems that he's living a boundaryless life. And when individuals, I'm not just gonna say men, but like men, individuals, whomever. If you're living a boundaryless life, you're always going to come upon the consequences of not respecting boundaries. You're
Yeah.
not gonna have boundaries for yourself. You're not gonna be respecting other people's boundaries. When those other people's are in a healthier space than you are always gonna be taking the L, looking stupid, which further feeds a feeling of insecurity, which further feeds that feeling of helplessness, feeling useless, any of the other negative feelings that you can be having. By living a boundaryless life, you are in fact feeding all of those negative feelings that you have internally on a regular basis. Because when somebody who is further along in their mental health or growth journey, in their self-care journey, whatever it is, or you know, in building and exercising their self-esteem and self-worth, they are going to enforce the boundary. The boundary isn't to control you, that boundary is to protect them. And once they've set the boundary, and you just like, oh no, I'm gonna step right over it. And they're like, oh no, no, you're not. The door is locked. If there was a specific set of boundaries communicated to you, and you decide that you are just not going to adhere to that, that's fine. You don't have to adhere to it, but you are going to live with the consequence, with the aftermath of making that choice. And nine times out of 10, because you won't do the work to grow internally, because you won't do the work to become better, you're always going to end up with a double jab from that short end of the stick. And then the other thing was, even though it seemed like I'm going hard on him as a man or whatever, I do also still have that soft spot where I'm like, dang, I do feel bad for you. Because the other thing that was very loudly blaring to me was that he is deeply insecure and needs, like, he needs big bros. He needs good people around him. And to me, there was, I forgot what it was he said specifically, but as soon as he finished the statement, I was like, you have a lack of wise counsel surrounding you. And sometimes you will have your homeboys around you. They might mean well. They might be trying to encourage you in the best way that they know how. But as far as your group is concerned, you really do have to take a look at, and obviously you don't have the skills to, because you're in a certain position. You may not have the skills or language to even identify that you are a undeveloped individual in a group of undeveloped individuals, and you're looking to your left, right, and in front of you, expecting the type of wise counsel that would come from somebody that would be a responsible, immature big bro, cousin, older uncle, or mentor or something like that. And it's not just in terms of age. That's why I say wise counsel. I'm talking about somebody who has done the work, someone who's had the life experiences, being able to decipher that. I mean, you have to have some older men in your life. That don't mean that they are wise in their old age. Young fools sometimes grow up to be old fools. So he's definitely in need of those positive male voices that it seems like he's not getting. And I think that those people just aren't present in his life only because you're on the internet saying all of these things. I just think that if he were had at least a wise man in his midst, the same thing that he said on the internet, that wise man would have articulated that to him, and he could have, put that hand out like, hold on, young blood, like this,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk this thing out. And he wouldn't have ended up on the internet in the first place because you're justifying yourself to a bunch of theys. Who is they?
Yeah.
Okay, granted, you can see the name of the person that's making the comment, but like, yeah, nah. And also, as always, please seek therapy.
I'm gonna go to WWID. What would I do in this situation? So I agree that's something he definitely needs wise counsel, and wise counsel don't mean you don't have no counsel, because you can have a council full of fools, like you said, and they telling you. It's kind of like the male equivalent to when girls be like, "You ain't wrong, friend," and y'all definitely be wrong. It's the same thing, I don't know his background because I don't really keep up with his YouTube channel like that. But obviously, millions of people do. But I don't know if he has a father in his life or a father figure. That I don't know. But I do know any man in their life, older man especially, would say you don't be crashing online like that. And even if you did, you definitely don't make no song. And it's just like, why would you make a song? It's just like, I don't know. It just like you said, it was kind of immature. It's like, come on, man.
A screaming
I
desperation.
Yeah, but maybe he desperate to see his son. Maybe he try to get him, and Halle be like, be singing wonderfully. Like, no, I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but I just, in this situation, I mean, we jumping low key ahead of segments, but not really. But this is something you would really have to attack in prayer. Like, this is nothing that if she is doing everything you say she doing, because this is on both sides of the ball. So she the wicked witch of the West, and you trying to be a good father. And she said, no, I want my son to be fatherless. And she, if that's what she's doing, then okay, then you need to file a motion. You need to do some things, legally, spiritually. If she's just like you playing, or like maybe, because I do notice sometimes, especially again, we're going back to this. It's funny how every episode they always tie together somewhere way, and this don't be on purpose, y'all. What did we say earlier? Men and women think differently. So if you thinking like, well, I said I was on the way, but women are they need, in most cases, every detail, every time. You saying you on the way, which I've done, you thinking, okay, I'll be there in like an hour. You didn't say that. I have to do that. You have to be every little thing and make sure you very over communicate. And he don't look like the type that would do that. So in his mind, like, she's trying to keep him from like, oh, you waited too late because we got to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I just know from experience with me, where I should have said, okay, the time, I should have broken down a little more. So I have to say that. But like I said, and that's the case, because a lot of time, and it sounds like it's miscommunication, but a lot of stuff I feel like could have been avoided. And I just don't think the song was the worst case. And if I was in this situation, I'm not going to make no song, obviously, but I wouldn't make a podcast episode either. Got to put myself like, I'm not going to make a podcast episode either. WWJD, what would Jesus do? And it's ethically, morally correct thing to do. You've tried to have conversations, reach out and do some more conversations and document them. Then go try to get the law involved if that's the case. Because the spirit realm is very legal. It's a very legal system. Most people don't realize that. And even like in the Bible, a lot of stuff is very legal. So, okay, I tried to handle this way. It's not working. She is the wicked witch. No, slam the door and run with little baby Halo. Then you got to take it to court. I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, I'm thinking that actually the first thing I thought was, well, Jesus wouldn't have no baby because he was celibate. But I mean, as far as how he would handle this situation, right back to he had the 12 like folks with
Dis-
him. He had some
Disciple.
counsel. And also, I mean, they talked about him like a dog. He did not stop every time he was working on something to be like, "Do say that about me. Why are you talking about me?" He kept it moving. I
Yeah,
think that a lot of the um feelings that this young man is having, it seems that being in the public eye, having everybody commenting on your situation, everybody speculating on your situation, it can and does get to you.
yeah,
And it will mess with your mental. And when you don't have a pre-made plan to build up the mental fortitude to be able to handle that, I mean, I could only imagine, we get to deal with whatever our go through is in the privacy of our own home. And we're able to share, however much we would like to on pod episodes. And unfortunately for him, I mean, they sneeze and it's on socials.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what would Jesus do? I mean, it's easier said than done. Letting all of that extra noise from the outside roll off the back and work on forgiveness and communicating directly to rectify the situation and make it amicable for everybody involved.
And that's the sad part because she ain't saying nothing. So it's like I said, he looked like the crash out because she's not saying anything. Then, and like you said earlier, going back to what would I do in this situation, go to get wise counsel and add to that about, okay, again, obviously, do you have a pastor? Do you have a therapist? Do you have somebody, an OG in your life that you can call and say, hey, this is going on, what should I do? And again, not asking your like-minded friends who gonna just side with you because, like, again, you ain't wrong, friend. Like, nah, she tripping. They gonna, it's her. It's her. He ain't even did nothing, man. She just mad because you got emotion. You know how dudes be talking. Saying this stuff. So it's just something to. I'm really big on that wise counsel thing because y'all be hanging sometimes with a bunch of idiots. Now, WSMD, what should men do? Let me ask this. I'm gonna put you on blast. How do you feel about your fiance's friends?
Oh, you really put me on blast. So I feel like there is a range. Um, as with most men that I know, I don't think that he's an outlier as far as my opinion is concerned.
Yeah.
There are friends that I notice that I'm like, yeah, nah, he a hater. Yeah, nah, that's probably not the best person to hang with. Um, and there are friends that is like, oh, such and such, super solid. I just go ahead and tell him which of his comrades are my favorites. Like, I'm one of those people that I'm like, everybody's allowed to have favorites. But there are some commonalities in the people that he hangs with, the friends that he hang with, that I'm like, oh, okay, such and such is my favorite, such and such is my favorite. We're talking about people who are at a certain level of maturity, who exercise a certain level of responsibility, who are consistent men of their word, people who they are upstanding. I mean, not to say that it's like, oh, well, if you don't do these things, that makes you a degenerate, but there just are certain qualities I that I associate with, like, okay, this is a person that I don't even want to say just trust you to go out with, because I trust him, but it's like I also, the same way that you don't want your girl out with that one friend that she always wilding the F out, that it's like, oh, y'all either gonna end up in a fight, or she always leaving the party with some guy, or all of these precarious situations that, I mean, I'm gonna be straight regardless. I know when to go home, but it's still, when the shoe is on either foot, it's like, I don't necessarily want you in a situation where you roll with somebody or you drove some people. Now you got to be like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this. Potentially getting a debate back and forth, and now you got to take a Uber back home, or or you end up at a party and you at that party looking around like, hold on, what the f is? I'm about to go. Like, let me text my girl and be like, hey, yo, I did not know that this was about to be like this. I don't want no parts, and I don't want you to see me in the background on no pictures. Because you know, when you scrolling through a carousel, you seeing pictures possibly not in chronological order. So
Yep.
you'll see a picture of the effed up stuff happening. You scroll on the next part of the carousel and see on that same wall, like, what is that my fiance standing there with the. So you was at a party where they was, and it's like, wait, no, 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 no. I wasn't even there by that time. So yeah, just keeping that company that people that care enough about you, respecting your boundaries, and also care enough about the way that they know for a fact that you do or don't move that way. And to them, it's not funny to disrespect you and be like, oh, I know this ain't your thing, but just come on anyway. That peer pressure of trying to get you to do stuff that they know you don't do it. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Well, I'm gonna end up with saying, again, we all about wise counsel. We all about, I think that even with the whole friend thing, sometimes people see stuff that they don't see. But let me, in defense of your fiance, let them hear this. Does he know how to differentiate? Because the thing is, I'm good with knowing who's for what. And is he good at that at least?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's pretty good at that. I would say that in in keeping friendships or relationships together, he's the one that is like introducing some of the more positive attributes. And I'm like, hey, don't keep trying to. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. If you out here on this growth thing and you are that wise counsel voice for the group or with you and a friend, and they just not listening, I'm like, look, I know it's no man left behind, but sometimes, and for those of you on audio, I'm pointing to the everybody can't go sign. And it's up to you individually to choose when you like, you know what, I've put enough energy on this and trying to make sure that you straight, even when you are wise counsel and have it. If you have it, one, you have to listen to it and take heed. If you are the wise counsel and you're giving it, it's your responsibility to decide when and whether or not you're casting your pearls at swine.
And we're going to end with that. There we go. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, y'all. So this is all for today's Mental Man Monday live stream. Thank you for coming on. Where can the people listen to you? What you got going on right now that you can pub and promote before we go?
Okay, so you can find me on YouTube. You can listen to Everybody Can't Go Convos every week, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. And you can also find out what is going on in the Everybody Can't Go world at www.everybodycg.com. We have pre-sales for the book Everybody Can't Go currently live, tickets for the Write the Vision workshop that's coming up at the end of March, and also the Write the Vision journal. So links for all of those things are available on www.everybodycg.com. And you can follow me on socials at Everybody Can't Go, the number 2 on Instagram, and Everybody Can't Go LLC on TikTok.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you again for joining. All right, y'all. Good night. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And as always, remember, I love us for real.